Whoa, I've got a light on in the camera. I didn't expect that. Hey guys, those of you who follow me on Instagram may have seen that the capacitor in this failed today, which kind of surprised me because when I first bought this, which would have been in the early 2000s, I won it on eBay, and it was the most I'd ever spent on a fan at the time. It was, I think, like $200 or something like that. $300. I've paid more for fans since, but it was the most I'd paid at the time. Anyhow, when I got it, I put the blades on. I gave them what I thought was a decent pitch, because you set your own blade pitch with these, and it ran really, really slow. So I thought the capacitor was bad, and I changed the capacitor, and still ran really, really slow. So I emailed Tom Frampton. Had to been one of the first times I ever talked to him, and asked him about it, and he said, you know, back in those days, we were just starting to use real motors in ceiling fans. Because remember, the first Casablancas were belt drive, and then the first self-contained fans like this had a belt drive motor inside, and they only went 50 RPM tops. And so Tom said we just used whatever motors Emerson sent us. We literally did not know what we were doing. And so it was viable, and that some of the larger fans, like this being a 56-inch fan, would have one of the smaller motors. So this has a K63 that uses a 4 microfarad capacitor. There are a bunch of differences in the various K63s, and we're trying on Facebook to document all of them. The biggest capacitor I've ever seen, because you can kind of go by the capacitor. The bigger the capacitor, the stronger the motor will be, theoretically. It's not always the case, but it's a good starting point. And, of course, you can't up the capacitor without risking damaging the motor. So you always want to make sure the capacitor value that's in there is what it's designed for. Anyhow, biggest I've ever seen in a K63 is a 7.5 microfarad. And the smallest I've seen is a 3 microfarad. 3 microfarads are in some of the 36-inch blender fans. The 7.5 is in a Casablanca K63 that I bought from another collector, and I don't remember what fan it came out of. And most Casablancas and blender fans and Emersons and whatnot, most K63 fans have either a 4 or 5 microfarad. And this has a 4. And so I'd always intended to swap it for a larger K63 and or one that uses a 5. And I almost did it this time because I found that one with the 7.5. But I decided just to replace the capacitor because I didn't want to undergo a huge project right now, and I didn't know what I might run into swapping the motor, whereas I knew swapping the capacitor was a fairly easy fix. It seems to run about the same. I did increase the blade pitch just slightly, and I moved the blades around, and as a result, it seems to be almost no wobble, and I was able to take the weight off the blades, so it runs a little better now, based not so much on the new capacitor, but on the repositioning of the blades. So here's low. It's funny because I kind of have stopped, as much as I love aesthetic low speeds, I've kind of stopped caring about having them in fans because, to quote my father-in-law, as I get older and hotter, I don't find them very useful. Because if you think about it, most of the fans here, I need a functional low speed, or I barely even use them on low. This one gets put on low a fair amount of the time because when the room isn't in use, there's no reason for it to be on a higher speed. But like this one, for example, I might even consider keeping that on medium, but the medium is a little bit fast for that, but that's over a stairwell, so I definitely need to keep a circulatory speed there. That's in the kitchen, which is, you know, an area that requires a lot of circulation, so I definitely wouldn't want an aesthetic low there. Bedroom, I always like a breeze. I mean, there aren't really any places where an aesthetic low is useful. I suppose in the dining area here. Yeah, pretty much all. I mean, I guess in Abby's room. Everywhere else, I need a functional low and medium, you know, pretty much all the time. So there's the low. Let's go up to medium. So for those who haven't been keeping up with my lighting videos, there's my newest, I guess, I don't know if that's vintage or antique, probably vintage floor lamp. There's that one, so that's my new thing. See, and it's almost no wobble at all, and I think once it gets up to speed on medium, it will stop wobbling entirely. It didn't wobble at all when I was testing it before, but, you know, things tend to settle and change slightly. Either way, that's an acceptable amount to me if it continues to wobble that much, especially given how hard it is to balance these. And there's a good breeze from it there on medium. So that's what I would probably use it on most of the time. I'm just sitting here. Here's high. And it should be a hair slower than before because, again, I increased the blade pitch slightly. I was just noticing. I put it at a pitch that I thought was similar than previous. And I was noticing that it didn't really seem like it was doing an effective job of moving air the way that I needed it to. And I figured, okay, well, it's not going to go any faster if I decrease the pitch because it's already almost flat. So I just increased it slightly, and I don't think it slowed down any. And it's not like gusty, you know. I bet you if we tested this at the shop, it might not even make it into the K55 category. It probably would. But definitely, like, the Island fans moves way more air than this does. Well, I guess, you know what, it's hard to tell because this being a 56-inch fan, and I'm kind of close up on it, it kind of spreads the air out more. So it's really not that bad, but it's again, there's definitely other Casablancas that are more effective. And again, it's the use of the heavy 56-inch blades with a smaller K63. But this is really not that bad. I've given it a fairly steep blade pitch now. I'll see if I can show you. I can get up on the step stool here. You can see. So I just kind of look at it from the side there. So what is that, like a 12 degree? Maybe a... You know, it's not as flat as it was. It was a little bit flatter before. And it's funny because it was doing a fairly good job. I would turn it on when I was hot and I'd get a good breeze. But this is a little bit more. And again, I like that it seems to be perfectly balanced now. So it was spinning down when I started the video, but we'll watch it spin down again. So I just hit off. So I had a bunch of projects I needed to complete today, and I didn't get to all of them. In part, didn't get a lot of sleep last night, so I went back to sleep this morning. Part I got called to a rehearsal I wasn't planned for, and just in part because I've had unexpected things happen and blah blah and so forth. But the two biggest things I wanted to happen today is I wanted to fix my guitar amp, and I did that. It was a little more complicated than I was expecting, but I did get it fixed. And then I wanted to fix this fan, and I did that. The other thing I'll show you, I don't know if we're going to be able to get it to show up on camera. Is there a way to turn this light off? Because if I could do that, I know I could get it to show up on camera. I got the Trento outside working. I got it plugged up. I got a spotlight on it. One of my spotlights is bad, and so I ordered another one from Amazon. But I got one spotlight on it. I got it wired up. I got replacement blade irons on it. I got it bolted to the deck so that the wind can't blow it around because we've been having some near tornado winds. And yeah, so that was another project I wanted to do. That was on my list. Another one that I'm going to do after I stop the video, even though it's 2 a.m., is I want to add one more flicker flame lamp to the downstairs, to the music room, because I realized the side with the organ does not have any flicker flames, and that's a travesty. And then the one project I didn't get to that I'm not going to get to is getting the garage in order. I've done some work on it the past few days, but it's nowhere near in order yet, and I need it to be in order. Because once again, once Abby gets here, I'm going to start testing fans there. Have a we'll get a built-in test rig. It's funny because, like, every time I would come down here and have this fan on, I would just look at it and be like, man, I'm really happy with that choice. I'm really glad I put this fan up. I'm really glad I have this fan, etc. Because I really like it here. And then I come home one day and, let's see, I'm trying to remember. Did I come home and it had stopped? I think it was still spinning. As you know, when a capacitor fails, sometimes the motor will still spin, but it won't start. And I can't remember, but I think it was still spinning, and then I was hot, so I went to turn it up, and it just buzzed. Okay, so there's that. Let's see if we can see the Torrento. The reason I'm not sure if we can see it is because of the light. I don't know how this light got turned on in the camera. Yeah, see, all we're seeing is, I didn't even realize this window was that dirty, and that's all we're seeing. You can kind of see it out there. Yeah, the window doesn't look there, you can see it. The window does not look dirty until the light reflects on it. There's the spotlight. Well, I'll do another video where I'll show you more updates and things. Thanks for watching.